The air in the HOA meeting room was thick with tension, like the calm before a thunderstorm. I sat in the front row, my fingers gripping the edge of my chair, trying to keep my composure as HOA Karens self-appointed queen of the neighborhood stood at the podium, her voice dripping with smug authority. Her floral dress screamed for attention, but it was her words that cut deeper. She was mid-rant about my husband, Tom, and his inappropriate behavior at the community pool last weekend. According to her, he'd been overly friendly with her, lingering too long by her lounge chair, complimenting her new swimsuit. The accusation landed like a slap, and the room buzzed with whispers. I glanced at Tom, sitting beside me, his jaw tight. He reached for my hand under the table, but I pulled away, my mind racing. Karen's husband, Greg, lounged in the back corner, his polished grin betraying nothing. I knew something she didn't, something that made her accusations feel like a cruel joke. Greg had been texting me for weeks, his messages starting innocently, enough questions about the neighborhood watch but quickly turning suggestive. I hadn't told Tom yet, unsure how to broach it without shattering the fragile peace of our cul-de-sac. Now, Karen's public attack felt like the spark that would ignite everything. Karen's voice rose, her manicured finger pointing at me. And you, Sarah, need to keep a tighter leash on your husband. This is a family-friendly community. The crowd gasped, and I felt my face burn. She was painting me as the clueless wife, humiliated in front of our neighbors. But I wasn't the only one humiliated tonight. I stood, my chair scraping loudly against the floor. Karen, you're out of line, I said, my voice steady but sharp. Tom wasn't flirting with you. He was being polite. Maybe you're projecting your own insecurities. The room fell silent, all eyes on us. Karen's face twisted, her confidence faltering for a split second before she doubled down. Insecurities? Don't turn this on me. Everyone saw him, she snapped, her eyes darting to the crowd for validation. A few heads nodded, but most looked uncomfortable, caught in the crossfire of her vendetta. That's when Greg spoke up, his voice smooth as silk. Come on, Karen, let's not make a scene. Sarah's right, maybe this is a misunderstanding. His tone was too calm, too calculated. I caught his glance, a flicker of something sly, and my stomach churned. He was playing the peacemaker, but I knew better. Those late-night texts, you looked amazing at the barbecue, Sarah. Bet Tom doesn't tell you that. Enough flashed in my mind. He'd been flirting with me, and Karen had no idea. I turned to Tom, whose eyes were wide with confusion. Sarah, what's going on? He whispered. Couldn't answer, not yet. The twist was coming, and it wasn't just Greg's betrayal. A soft voice broke the silence. Karen, you're wrong. It was Mrs. Delaney, the quiet widow who rarely spoke at meetings. She stood, clutching her cane, her frail frame trembling with conviction. I was at the pool. Tom was helping me with my chair when Karen called him over. She was the one flirting, not him. She kept touching his arm, laughing too loud. I saw it all. The room erupted in murmurs. Karen's face went pale, her mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. That's not true, she stammered. But the crowd's mood had shifted. Eyes turned on her, skeptical, accusing. Mrs. Delaney's unexpected testimony was the first crack in Karen's facade, and I seized the moment. Karen, I said, stepping forward, if you're so worried about inappropriate behavior, maybe you should check your husband's phone. I pulled out my own phone, my hands shaking as I opened the text thread from Greg. I read aloud, wish I could see you in that red dress again, Sarah. Name a time and I'm there. Sound familiar? The room exploded. Karen's eyes widened, her gaze snapping to Greg, who was suddenly sitting up straight, his grin gone. What the hell is she talking about, Greg? Karen's voice cracked, her authority crumbling. Greg stammered, it's not what you think, babe. Just a joke. But the damage was done. The neighbors whispered furiously, some shooting sympathetic glances my way, others glaring at Karen and Greg. Mrs. Delaney shook her head, muttering, shameful. I turned to Tom, whose face was a mix of shock and anger. Why didn't you tell me? He asked, his voice low. I swallowed hard, guilt gnawing at me. I was going to, Tom. I just didn't know how. He nodded, but the hurt in his eyes stung worse than Karen's accusations. Karen, now trembling, grabbed her purse and stormed toward the door, shoving past Greg, who called after her weakly. The meeting dissolved into chaos, neighbors arguing, some following Karen out, others bombarding Greg with questions. Mrs. Delaney shuffled over to me, her hand gentle on my arm. You did the right thing, dear. Truth always comes out. But the truth didn't feel like a victory. As Tom and I drove home in silence, the weight of the evening settled over us. Karen's public humiliation was deserved, but it left a bitter taste. Greg's betrayal had torn open a rift in our community, and my own secrecy had hurt Tom. The neighborhood would never be the same, trust shattered, alliances broken. I wondered if Karen knew about Greg's texts all along, if her attack on Tom was a desperate deflection. It didn't matter now. The damage was done. When we got home, Tom finally spoke. We'll get through this, Sarah. But no more secrets. Okay? I nodded, tears stinging my eyes. The HOA meeting had exposed more than just Karen's hypocrisy. It had laid bare the fragility of our little world. What would you do when trust is broken in your community? Speak up or stay silent.